My house is probably no more than 5 k's away from that landslide.
From that.
You know? And like the whole part of this section of the city was just engulfed by the dirt, and it's just like, and all these people died, and I'm going, oh, what am I doing here? Anyways,
Sure.
so there's always that. How do I go through law school with the fact that I've got this other reality that I'm constantly facing, you know, which is Salvador, which is poverty-driven, struck with poverty. There's a lot of injustices.
Welcome to Justice Matters, the podcast inspiring a world where everyone belongs. I'm your host, Tim Buxton.
On today's episode of Justice Matters, I have the privilege of sitting down with Eduardo Cruz. Now, he's a lawyer and the director of Corney and Lind law firm, which is in Brisbane. And if there's anyone that's going to talk about justice, it's probably a lawyer. But as we talk, you can really hear his heart for wanting to bring healing and justice into the lives of people that have been on the other hand of injustice, on the other side of injustice. And I think as he shares and talks about his own story and his own passion about being a lawyer, I know that his heart is also for, serving his community. He's from El Salvador and has been a big part of that process in trying to bring peace and justice in that part of the world as well. And so I hope you enjoy today's episode with Eduardo Cruz.
How are you, man?
Jose Eduardo Cruz. No.
Rivas. I got a second surname. Rivas.
What?
Jose Eduardo Cruz Rivas. That's the full name.
Jose Eduardo Cruz Rivas
Yeah.
is your full name.
The full name.
Welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, brother.
It is
Appreciate it.
so good to have you all the way down in the Gold Coast. We've had like the whole morning together already.
We have.
Have you enjoyed it?
I have, man. I can feel my legs now.
We just came back from the P3 recovery pools.
Yeah.
Where I treated you to some nice cold water and hot water.
It was good. It's good. I've never done that, man. It's I can see why my wife loves jumping into that cold bath, because after you've done like a heavy set of squats or whatever, you can just immediately feel that soothing that goes on with that cold water. And I felt it immediately. It's like, yes, I can do it again.
You can do it again. You were holding your breath. You were.
I lost my breath, and I went in. I'm going to do this. And then I was not expecting that shock that the body has, where it's just a hit. You're like, yes, it's coming back. It's coming back. It's there. Yeah. And then you got to capture your breath. You know?
do.
Yeah. It's good.
You did really well. Most people go scampering out, but you lasted 2 full 4-minute sessions. Well done, man.
It's good, brother. It's good.
Your wife, she's a weightlifter, you said? Powerlifter, sorry.
Powerlifter.
So,
state champion.
Cool.
For her age category, and she's second in her weight category. So,
mate.
Nationals up in 2 weeks in Noosa.
That is so cool. And your son's name Rocco, is it?
Roque, which is the same in... Rocco is the Italian equivalent.
To Roque. Yeah. Don't mess with this family. There's a power lifter and a lawyer and a Roque.
Yeah.
You don't want to come across the cruises.
Yeah.
No, but man, it's so good. And, we've just talked so much already. Yeah. I feel like we could have been recording the podcast since the Doppio and my decaf double shot Piccolo. You are someone who has just passion in your life, and you've pushed that and you've channeled that into your career now as a lawyer, a reluctant lawyer.
Yes.
Learning about your journey with being in and out of the whole industry. We can get to the law part in a bit, but one of the things that struck me as we were talking earlier was about this idea of identity and labels. And you have a history, a past that is so close to my heart, obviously, in the work that I do with refugees, refugee waymakers, as we like to call them. And we got to partner together with your law firm, Corney and Lind, if I got that right.
That's right, yeah.
Up in Toowoomba, when at the height of the US pullout of Afghanistan and the Taliban takeover and the terrible scenes that we're all witnessing, we joined together forces and we put on a workshop for the Afghanis and other refugees and migrant background people in Toowoomba. It was a wonderful collaboration. Maybe we could talk a little bit about that, but I really want to go into your identity, who you are, where and why are you so driven to use your now career in law to fight for justice and do what you do?
Brother, I'm alive. I get to wake up every day, and all I have to worry about is I put my pants on, I put my clothes on, I show up. That's it. That's all I got to worry about. Is and I've taken that opportunity because from my background, where I was born in Salvador, right? And we came to Australia as refugees, right? Unbeknown to me, I had no idea this is what we were.
Really?
Right? And I only found this out as I started to talk to more to Sudanese people, Afghans, learning about their stories, and I started seeing little things that we used to experience and we went through as newly arrived migrants. And then it just went, hold on a minute, your story is exactly like mine.
Wow.
And I went, hold on, maybe I was a refugee. And I went to my dad and went, hey, did you know that all of this happened? He goes, yeah, we came through as refugees. Why didn't you tell me? Because
gosh.
I didn't think we needed to talk to you about that stuff. We just had to get on with life, And I was telling you earlier that when we left El Salvador and we went to Los Angeles in the transit to Brisbane, there was a gentleman that picked us up, met us at the airport, had a blue vest.
Wow.
And as I reflect on it, I go, blue vest, that's the UNHCR, man. You're like,
wow.
And then as we've renewed our when we got our first Australian passports, there it is, humanitarian visas, and I'm like, this is part of my journey, which I never even knew it was my journey, right?
Wow.
Until I went.
So when did you discover that? When did you ask your dad?
2008.
Oh my!
I'd been in the country for nearly 20 years.
Wow!
And I just went on with life,
And you were like, what, 9 years old when you...
I was 9 when I came here.
Wow.
Spoke zero English.
Zero English.
Zero, nothing. The only thing I knew was I don't speak English. it was like, hey, if anyone talks to you, say, I don't speak English. Right? But so that I found that out, and then
oh, wow.
As my... as I grew up as a person, right, not necessarily within the career, but as I grew up as a person, I went, "Hey, I've got an opportunity here.
Yeah,
I've come out of a civil war. Had we not had that opportunity and that blessing to leave that country,
wow,
we could be dead. And it was that stark. We could be dead.
Yeah.
And we had family members murdered. We had people kidnapped. We had all of that stuff. We had neighbors that were kidnapped and tortured, and then they were like, all that stuff was real, right? You read that and it's abstract because you think, oh, that doesn't really happen. Well, yeah, I've been through it. Like that's part of our journey. And when I sit back and go, okay, well, what am I going to do with this opportunity that I've been given?
Yeah.
Yeah. To be in an affluent country, to be in a Western country, to be in a democratic country that has given me every opportunity, right? I didn't choose this. Someone just said, you've got to do it, man. This is you now.
Wow.
Right? So I thought I'm going to become a lawyer.
Wow.
Because I thought, okay, I've got to do something cool. Like this has got to be something, right, that how can I use this platform, right? And the first platform that I saw is the opportunity of being an Australian. So how can I do that? And I went, I'm going to be a lawyer. And the reason why I chose law was because of our long history within Latin America of social justice.
Yeah.
And a lot of my heroes have been people that have straddled that social justice, like Jesuit priests.
Yes.
Archbishop Romero from Salvador.
I know. Yeah.
So all the people that were very vocal had a somewhat of a legal background. Yeah. So I thought, okay, well, I could do that, or I can become a Jesuit priest, which I did. I did contemplate, but it was only from the perspective of how can I impact the world.
Yeah.
The most, right? I'm a Jesuit priest. I love the Jesuits. They've got that power. But then I went, I'm going to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
But even through law school, I just didn't connect with it. I struggled with it.
Really, with law?
With law.
Yeah.
It didn't make sense to me.
Dude, don't put me through law school.
Yeah,
That'd be
it was difficult.
hard.
I didn't connect with it. Like I didn't go connect with the people.
Yeah.
I went to unbeknownst to me, one of the best law schools in Australia. I went to UQ.
Yeah.
And then excellent people, but it didn't make sense to me.
Okay.
And it took me a good 2 or 3 years to really make sense of what the practice of law was, the study of law.
Okay.
During that time, 2001, an earthquake hit in Salvador, and it was like wiped out half of our city. So
Wow.
I'm like, what am I doing here?
Was that a landslide as well?
That's right, yeah. Landslide.
I had a friend who's from El Salvador I used to work with in New York, and I remember that happening actually.
It's horrible.
Very devastating situation.
The whole just imagine
That was your town that got.
that was my city, man. Like I literally
Wow.
my house is probably no more than 5 k's away from that landslide.
From that.
And like the whole part of this section of the city was just engulfed by the dirt, and it's just like, and all these people died, and I'm going, oh, what am I doing here? Anyways,
Sure.
so there's always that. How do I go through law school with the fact that I've got this other reality that I'm constantly facing, which is El Salvador, which is poverty-driven, struck with poverty. There's a lot of injustices. Right?
You talk about that. I think of a lot of the struggles that refugees have when they settle here. People think, wow, you should be grateful, you're here. But what they don't realize is there's a lot of guilt that they carry because they got out. They're constantly in contact with family members that are still in refugee camps, or family members that want to get out but are waiting on a 5-year visa application that's still not being approved, or they're constantly feeling guilty for what they have, but yet watching the news as once again, bombs go off in Afrin and the city that they're from being taken over, and it's something that I don't think anyone, unless they're like you, who've had to live through it and walk through it, could really understand. You were talking even about how difficult it was for your dad.
Yeah, look, his transition was even harder. He still talks with a strong accent. He speaks English like perfectly, but he still talks with an accent.
A beautiful accent, by the way.
He was but he was 29 when he came here, right? They're really critical stages in anyone's lives,
Sure.
like, and to have that uprooted, because that's what happened. Our whole family just went, phew, you're out. And I remember. I remember the day that we flew out. It was the 18th of April, 1989.
Come on.
And then we packed up our bags, and then we went to this, an office, like a UNHCR office, and we all went into a little bus.
Wow.
Because that bus was going to take us to the airport, right? And we had 2 bags, $1,000 between the 4 of us.
Wow.
And I thought, we got $1,000. We're rich,
Wow.
And I remember sitting on that bus, and I could see my family there. It's not like I wasn't going to see them, because they were coming to the airport to say goodbye to us, right? But I distinctly remember waking up on the 18th, getting onto the bus, and then going to the airport, doing all our clearances, and then seeing my parents just like this heartbreak. Because you know that we don't know when we're coming back.
No.
We don't know if we're going to come back. We don't know if we're going to see you again, right? We have, luckily, but you jump onto that plane and you think, okay, I know my parents, it was like, when we left, it was like, is this the right thing to do?
Oh, yeah. Second guessing themselves. Yeah.
You don't know, man. Yes, you go to Australia, but like, you don't know. You're hedging your bets, man. You're hedging your bets on like, this is the choice that you've made. This is what you're going to try to make a better life for your kids.
Yeah.
Right. And that's the only reason they left, because of me and my sister. It's the only reason they left the family, right? Because the conditions over there, just simply, you can't live there. You know, civil war, man. I remember the helicopters going over. I remember the flares that the army would like shoot, like, because there might be guerrillas through the mountains, right? And we used to live at the bottom of a volcano, like in a city, but El Salvador's got volcanoes everywhere.
Yeah, yeah.
And we would have a battalion, 100 strong going up, you know. It's insane, you know. So that's the history that's in me. That's the legacy that I have in me.
Yeah.
So I reflect, and then I'm going through law school. I'm going, what can I do with this?
Yeah.
And I've struggled with it
Really.
constantly.
What's been the biggest struggle?
Acceptance, man.
Yeah.
Accepting that I'm supposed to be here. You know? Accepting that if I didn't choose to be here, I got put here. But if we're going to, if you're a believer,
Yeah.
right, you are where you're supposed to be.
Yeah.
And the Spirit will take you where you're needed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And accepting that this is where I'll make my life, and this is where the blessing is going to happen. Yeah. And I've got an opportunity to change other people's lives. Yeah. Through law.
Yeah.
This is just my vehicle, man. It's just the talent that
Yeah.
God's blessed me with.
Come on.
And I think we all struggle with that, you know,
Yeah.
especially migrants, man, especially refugees, because you're right. We struggle with the fact of, I got out. I got out of the mess. I'm alive. I can breathe. I don't have to worry about bombs going off. I don't have to worry about kidnappings. I don't have to worry about any of that.
But then you don't belong anymore in the country that you're in, right? You're out, but then you realize very quickly you don't really fit into the new culture either. So there's this tearing of like, where do I even belong anymore?
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And when you said acceptance, this sense of like accepting that, hey, I belong where I am right now.
Yeah.
Just because this is where I am.
That's right.
And, you know, this is my destiny and this is what I'm born for.
That's right.
And
man.
it is something I think innate into the human person to really embrace who they are, where they are, and to live in a society and a culture where they can be accepted for who they are and where they are. Again, with all the labels removed off.
That's right.
With all the, you know, we're all trying to figure out who we are and why
That's
we're here
right.
and what we're supposed to do.
That's right. It's a difficult journey for most migrants, man. It's a difficult journey to accept this is where we are, this is where we belong, right? And it's through organizations like yours, right, where you openly discuss this, where you openly embrace others, right? Because sometimes we are the other, right?
We all are.
It's just, you know, and we all have that. Like, you know, you might be the other in particular context, but
in school, you know, you're the kid that doesn't fit in.
That's
or
right,
at work,
man.
you're the one that's whatever, you know.
But as you get older, I've started going, you know what? It's cool to be the other, man.
Yeah.
You know, like it's okay to be that that tiny little bit different, you know,
Yeah.
because it's those way makers are the ones that are going to actually change the current.
Yeah.
Right? They're the ones that are going to ask the hard questions.
Yeah.
You know,
The status quo won't remain if we all just kind of just go with the flow. It's the people that are going to stick their neck out and be a little different and push things forward. Yeah.
That's right. You've got to, and it's not being different just for the sake of being different. You know, there has to be a well thought out mission or vision or plan or something.
Whatever you want to
Why
call
do you
it.
exist?
Yeah.
Why do you want to do this? Why? Because just being a voice that criticizes or a voice that doesn't necessarily put forward healing
or solutions.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that do that, man.
There's a lot of angry voices. There's a lot of people jumping up and down, but they might not really know the names of the people and really know the heart and the connection with the soul of the people that they're, and there can be a big difference. We were talking about this a bit earlier about this ability to shift quickly from this mentality of I've got this opportunity instead of thinking I'm a victim or I am, look at me, poor me, I don't fit in. And how did you wrestle that with yourself? Or you have, we went bare chest into the ice bath and you said you've got these awesome tattoos. What was it? Bishop Romero?
Saint Romero.
Saint Romero on one. And then you've got justice.
Justicia, paz, libertad.
Yeah. So this idea of, again, from, yes, injustice happens.
Yeah.
But that process requires not seeing yourself constantly as the victim, even though as a lawyer you're fighting for people that have been victims.
Yeah.
Can you talk a bit about why that tattoo's on your arm and why that concept of healing and moving forward is so central to what you do as a lawyer?
So the tattoo says Justicia, Paz, Libertad, right? And I got that in 2001, right? It just means justice, peace, and liberty, right? Now they can be throwaway terms, but for me, the war came to an end in 1992, right? In a lot of societies,
the Civil War in El Salvador,
they signed the peace treaty, right? And El Salvador is not exclusive, right? In what they go through, there's similar things happened in South Africa. Similar thing in the I think it's called the Truth Commission. I think it was Justice and Truth Commission. Same things are happening in Colombia, right, with the disarmament of FARC and all their guerrilla movements. It's happened through El Salvador as well. How do we transition as a society? And
it's happened in Kurdistan where we were.
It's happening in Kurdistan, right? It's happening in Iraq. It's happening in many different places. How do we go through a societal change that goes from we've stopped fighting, and now we're going to sign peace? It's not that simple.
I wish it was.
I wish it was, man. And one of the recurring themes that I saw, was that seeking justice, right? However that might be, feeling that you have been heard, feeling that whoever did you wrong, right, was either accountable or made themselves accountable, right, for whatever they may have done, right? The victim is justice. Okay, you murdered my family. Either I take that to the courts and I get justice, right? Or I just talk to you, which is what happened with the Truth and Reconciliation Commission, right? We talked it out, right? And they felt that justice takes many forms, right? But that's how I was seeing it play out. So the people that felt they were victims found this internal peace, hence the second word on my tat.
Wow.
Peace, internal peace. Okay, I have found justice, right, within society. now I have internal peace. I have nothing that's going to bind me to the past. Yes, yes.
Because you've faced the past and you've a lot of people say, oh, just forgive and forget, right?
That's right.
And it's like this trite statement. It's like, well, you actually have to head straight into the injustice.
You do.
And you've got to face it and be heard in the injustice.
That's right.
And I hear that in the calls for, Indigenous Australians or Indigenous peoples or people of colour around the world. They're not just fighting for, reparations. They're fighting primarily to be heard.
That's right.
They're fighting just to be listened to.
Yeah. Hear me out, man. Like, this is what's happened to me. This is my story. Sometimes justice will take that form of going through the courts.
Yep.
Now, I've been practicing for 20 years.
Yes.
Some people don't want to do that. Some people don't want to go through the courts. They simply want to be heard and they want to have that acknowledgement. Say, sorry I hurt you, man.
Wow.
Sorry I did that.
That's it.
That's it. So then we get internal peace. And then you're free.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
hence liberty. Right?
Wow.
Because then
yes.
you're no longer,
I love that.
You're no longer bound to that past. You're no longer anchored to that pain. And I could tell you, like, I've got this throughout my whole life, and I went through it in 2011.
Now it's time to take a moment to thank those who make this podcast possible, not only our wonderful patrons, but Jared Bell from Walk a Mile Media, who produces the show. Thank you so much. And now here's an advert from our sponsor, Freedom Broadband. Let me tell you about one of our partners, Freedom Broadband. They're an incredible profit-for-purpose business. Freedom Broadband is your all-in-one internet and telephone service provider, whether it's for your business or your home. Now, their internet connection and speeds are simply amazing, and they're in another league when it comes to the quality of their customer service. But here's what really sets them apart. When you switch to any of their services, they'll donate $5 every month to a non-profit cause of your choice. As the founder of You Belong, an Australian-based non-profit charity, one of the greatest challenges we face is fundraising, and I think I can speak for almost all leaders in the non-profit world when I say that being able to have a residual income coming into your accounts to support your work is a dream come true. And like most non-profits, our work is dependent on the generous support of individuals and groups that share our passion to empower refugees to integrate and thrive here in Australia. But what that means is that we spend more time and energy looking for ways to raise support, and what I'd desperately love to be doing is spending that time and our limited resources developing and growing the many successful programs that we run. But here's where our friends at Freedom Broadband come in. You see, a few months back, I was on a 4G wireless connection at home through one of the largest phone and internet companies here in Australia. And each month I was nervous about going over our usage, getting a nasty bill at the end. And I was working on a lot of the podcasting and videos at home, and the speeds I was getting were just painfully debilitating. And I finally decided to give Freedom Broadband a call. And within 2 minutes, I was on the call with Graham completing my application, and within a week I had completely switched over to their $79 a month unlimited plan, and I can tell you firsthand the service has been phenomenal, and I have a direct line to their customer service team whenever I have a question or need assistance. And now the studio and office where I work has switched over to Freedom Broadband as well. We're on their business plan and we haven't looked back. And how cool is this? Little by little, connection by connection, Aussie-owned and locally run Freedom Broadband is now actively supporting the great work of non-profits in communities all around Australia. Simply by switching your internet to Freedom Broadband, you can help transform the lives of those less fortunate. And that's why I love these guys. And get this, head to freedombroadband.com.au and quote Justice Matters on your application form, and they will donate $50 from the activation fee to support Justice Matters. That's going to enable us to continue this podcast
and inspire the world where everyone belongs. That's freedombroadband.com.au. Say goodbye to expensive, mediocre internet with poor customer service and hello to top-notch internet service and the good feeling of knowing you're supporting a great cause. Join Freedom Broadband today. Quote Justice Matters, and let's partner together with the internet that's helping to change the world.
Alrighty then, let's get back to the episode.
When I was in Melbourne, I was doing my master's in law, and my phone started blowing up. I find out that my cousin was kidnapped, in front, just as he's getting home, and
wow, in El Salvador.
In El Salvador, right? These were young kids, man. Like, as this is unfolding, right, we later find out that they take him away from the house. They take all his money, then they drive him an hour away from where we live, and they shoot him in the head, and they dump his body on the footpath, right? And my other cousin had to be the brave soul to go and identify him, right?
Oh my gosh!
So he identifies him, and then we're seeing this all play out. All of it is being played out as we see it on the newspapers.
Oh my
gosh. We're seeing videos. We're seeing all of these things, right? And naturally, the first thing we went is we've got to get justice. We have to get this through. And they caught them all.
Wow.
We then find out they were like 15, man.
Yeah.
Like they were 15-year-olds. And the guy that actually shot my cousin was 14. Yeah.
That's awful.
The whole family just we hated them, but then we turned the mirror around and went, we feel for you guys. Why are you doing this?
Really? Wow.
We all went into this should never have happened.
Yeah.
But I feel for you, man. Like that helped our healing process. Yeah.
Wow.
How does that tie into me being a lawyer?
Well, I mean,
I look at that and I go back to the platform.
mm-hmm.
I'm in a blessed position, man.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with that. I don't have to deal with that directly by me being there. I deal with it directly because my family's still there, right? But this is the platform. How blessed are we? I don't have to go outside and be worried that someone's going to take me, kill my family, right? But I've got that opportunity now. I've got to embrace it. Yeah, I've got to do something with it, right? And I've struggled with it. I've struggled with the title. I've struggled with the responsibility that comes from being a lawyer.
Yeah.
It's a hard. It's a
big title to live up to, in a sense, really, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
And I mean, just as you were saying, you chose to see things from a different perspective.
Yeah.
You chose to see the injustice on the other side.
Yeah.
Right? You could have stayed the victim and the victim's family.
Yeah.
But you saw some teenagers who probably didn't have any good upbringing, no parents that showed them how to live their life.
Mm.
And in a sense, they themselves were victims. Just as much as you and your family were victims. And instead of embracing that, you've said, I've got an opportunity right here in this moment.
That's right, man.
To change the trajectory of not only my life, trajectory of my family, and hopefully your country and your community and the people around you.
That's right. That's right.
That's what I see in what you just shared.
That's exactly where my feeling was, and it was more. It was driven more. It was more evident when my son was born.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's when things become real.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
Tell me about it.
I look at him, and I've had moments where I've broken down, and I'm looking at him going, you never have to leave, man. You never have to leave this country. God willing, none of this will ever happen in Australia, right? But I look at him and go, you never have to leave this country. Like, how happy and how blessed are you, and how lucky are you that you were here, right? And he's got that opportunity that he has.
Yeah.
We all have.
Yes.
We all have that opportunity.
Come on.
Right? We've got everything at our disposal. There's no reason why we can't change the world. You know, how many Nobel Prize winners do we have in Australia? Like, an incredible amount of people that have taken that opportunity. I think there might have been, I think last time I was in Melbourne, 5 or 6 Nobel Prize winners, like, it's there. The opportunity is there. We've got it. We need to embrace it, and this is the thing that is motivating me right now with the work that you're doing, right? And the work that we want to do in our firm.
So what does that look like as a lawyer, as a law firm? What practically are you guys, doing? What is it what are some of the things that there might be lawyers out there listening. There might be people that want to figure out what they want to do and what subjects to choose at high school, and they're listening to this podcast and they're thinking, wow, I could be a lawyer. Like, what does it look like on a practical level that you're able to do in the community, that you're able to do for the people you represent?
I'll tell you a little bit how we're trying to frame this and how we're trying to build this. I never saw myself as a business owner. Never saw myself as someone that could be a director of a law firm, right? I didn't think I had the capacity to be in that position. I doubted myself that I even had the skill set.
Wow.
To be in front of a business, right? And to be leading a business. And not only that, within a competitive landscape, right? Like, the law is very competitive.
Sure.
And to be dealing with other lawyers at that coalface, like, we're difficult people, lawyers. Like, we're trained to do that. We're trained to be litigious. We're trained to be adversarial. So as I've grown into a business leader, right, I have started to, again, as you look back. You look at the platform. Okay, this is how I've got here. So how do I now use my current platform as a business owner, as a director of a law firm, to help others? And the practical things, right? Not just like I'm going to write down a plan. Like, what are the real things? Now, what are those things? I can teach people how to register a business. I can teach people how to keep proper records. I can teach people how to hire staff. I can teach people how to have proper workplace health and safety policies. I can teach you how to talk to your banker. I can teach you that business language.
Oh my gosh.
I can teach you
incredible.
How to network with other business owners. I can teach you how to look at a lease. I can teach you how to protect your brand. Those are practical things that, yes, I'm not. It's not the sexy thing. I'm fighting injustice, right?
Sure.
But I am equipping.
Oh man,
those people.
You're empowering.
I don't want the victimhood, man. Here are your tools, brother. Here you go. This is how I can teach you, because this is how I did it. Here you go. Because this is how the things that I've learned through the last 20 or so years of being in the legal industry. Here's my toolkit, man. Here you go. Take it.
What a gift.
Take it.
Well, it's almost like the opposite. Like of what people want to do. Like, I don't want to teach you how to do what you could pay me to do for you. I'd much rather you just employ me to do stuff for you and charge you, a lot of money. But you're saying, not only do I want to represent and serve people,
Absolutely.
and it's the best of my ability where they don't have the ability to navigate the law system and the court system, but here you are saying, I want to actually look for those that are vulnerable in the community, and I want to equip and teach you so that you don't have to, you can learn for yourself. It's
Absolutely.
like that give a man a fish kind of motto.
That's it, man.
Or you could teach him how to fish.
That's it.
I love
That's
that.
it.
And that's what happened, up in Toowoomba, with that workshop and being able to empower them.
We've got the skill set, right? What's the point of me acquiring all this information, all this training, all this knowledge?
Yeah.
If it's all going to be inward.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's only so much I need. There's only so much that we need, man. There's only so much money I can make. There's so many things that I can use my money on, right? What is the point of that? Yeah.
Yeah, they say that there's this magic number. Once you've got a certain amount of wealth, your happiness, like obviously if you're in the poverty line, below poverty, there's stress and anxiety and stress, but there's that magic number. I don't know what it could be. It's probably different in each country, but your happiness doesn't increase at all beyond a certain point. There's only so much that the human person needs to feel, that element of happiness and content. And so
that's right. And you know what? I do it because I can.
Yeah.
Because I can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can go and invest my own time and invest some of my own money and take people on a journey.
Come on.
Right? Here you go. Here's the info. Yeah, and that's it. I'm not looking for anything else, man. Like, here you go. Do whatever you want. You know? I'll keep talking to you. Like, you want me to keep helping you? It's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have to run a profitable business? Of course we have to run a profitable business.
Well, that's what I hate. Again, I say this all the time. I hate the word non-profit for charities or for, non-government organizations. This idea of non-profit is just silly. Like, do we want to make a loss? No. So why would we be identified by something that, of course, we want to be profitable. We just want to turn whatever we're doing into benefiting and making the biggest social impact that we can. And I think there's that place where whether you're in a law firm or whether you're a business owner or whether you're in social enterprise or wherever, co-ops, wherever you land, self-employed, you have an opportunity to not only provide for yourself and your family, but to have a huge social impact on people around you.
Money's just a vehicle, man. Money gives us the opportunity to bless other people. Yeah, money is a tool, and some people see it as a dirty thing, right? Like, why do I want to trade insolvent, man?
Yeah, I know.
Why do I?
No one likes that tax bill when they get.
Why do I want to owe money to the tax man? Like, why do I want to have a loss in my P&Ls? I don't want that.
Yeah. I was saying before, if you're a good farmer, you produce really good crops and good yields. You don't need to steal from somebody else to prove that you're a good farmer. You're known to be a good farmer because you're profitable.
That's
because
right.
you're ground and you've worked hard and you yield a good harvest, you know. And I think that's the same with whatever you put your mind to. If you're a good carpenter, if you're a good surfer, for goodness sake, whatever it is that you're good about, you know, you'll be rewarded for it. If you live in a just society. And unfortunately, it's where we see that society isn't built on equity, when people don't have the same opportunities, when people don't have the same freedoms, when people do suffer injustice and don't, and justice, peace, and freedom is not found. Can you think of a story, or is there any particular, you know, obviously you might need to protect, you know, names and identities, but is there any case or example that for you is just like, nah, this is why I do what I do. This is this is the reason why I know I'm a lawyer, I am a director of a law firm, to see results like this, to see a process like this? Is there anything that comes to mind or any particular?
There's a lot. Man.
Yeah. It's hard, maybe hard to pick one.
Yeah, there's a lot.
Or even...
I can tell you about, again, look, early on in my career, I represented a lot of child soldiers.
Really?
So I represented a few that, for whatever reason, right, they ended up getting hurt at work. And look, being injured at work, you think, oh, okay, well, there's an injustice there, right?
Sure.
But when I'll tell you one particular person, right, that stuck at me, right? He was injured at work. He spoke zero English, nothing, right? And all he wanted to do was go back to work, right?
Yeah.
He had one arm. He had one arm because the army threw a grenade at him. And he went like this, and he blew his arm off, right?
Where was this?
Here in Australia,
Oh,
right? So
my goodness.
because this is the people that I used to hang out with, you know,
Yeah.
like there were people that went, I need a lawyer, and he speaks Spanish, so I'm going to go and get him to represent me. So we had a big fight with the employer, right? Because all he wanted to do was go back to work. Obviously, we resolved the case, but it was that healing process, you know.
Yeah.
And when we had that outcome, like the guy broke down in tears. Like he was like over the moon what we were able to achieve for him, right?
Yeah.
And that's when I went, oh, thank God can do this for them. Thank God I can actually step in and be that voice for, because we very rarely have people speak on our behalf. Yeah, most of us can speak for ourselves.
It's like it's a courageous thing to stand up for yourself.
Yeah,
when you've been wronged, right?
Yeah, but what if you can't speak the language?
If you can't stand up for yourself, you have an advocate.
That's right.
You have a lawyer that says, you know what, don't worry, I see your pain.
Yeah.
Let me stand up for you.
Yeah.
And what a gift
Yeah.
to do that for somebody, to do that for this young man.
But you know what? All lawyers are like that. I see our industry like that.
Sure.
Right? I see that we have an inherent skill set.
Yeah.
We have a responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah. When we are admitted to the Supreme Court or the High Court of Australia,
Yeah.
we become part of a long line of history.
Yeah.
That dates back to where all of this began, common law,
Yep.
man. But not only that, if we take away from the common law, but we look at lawyers in general,
Yeah.
right? There's an amazing power that we have, that we're taught, yeah? That if we use it properly, and that's subjective, right?
Right.
But
Yeah.
if
as best as you know how.
as best as you know how, we can change people's lives.
Yes.
We can actually be a voice for peace. We can be a voice for change. Yeah.
Yeah.
And inherently, when you're doing things that will benefit the broader
Community.
society, the broader community. You know that. Yeah. And lawyers have a critical part in that. Yeah. We play a very critical role in society to change the narrative. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
To speak differently, to speak into a story from a different perspective.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's in us. How do we grab that skill set as lawyers and change the narrative? Yeah. It's a day-to-day grind. It's a day-to-day challenge, right? And it will push you around, as you would have experienced in your work. Yeah, it moves you around, and sometimes there are a lot of doubts.
I love the honesty we were even having before. It just, you know, even now, am I cut out for this? Am I really going to pull this off? You know, we can self-sabotage even our own drive and passions in life. You know, life's hard. One of the things I want to teach my kids is you know, they just had their award ceremony at school, right? But you don't always get an award. Yeah. And sometimes you're not the one that gets recognized. Yeah. And sometimes bad things happen to good people, and good things happen to bad people. Yeah. And, you know, there's a saying I heard that I've really kind of clung on to in my parenting at the moment, and it's just like, we always want our children to be happy, but what we really should teach them is to suffer well, because life is hard. And, you know, as we talk about that need to kind of be on this fight for justice, but realize it's a hard everyday slog too. Yeah. It's like not always, you know, mountaintop experiences. Yeah. Do you mind like what gets you through? What is it that you find helps you to just stay committed to what you're doing, even when it gets tough, when you hit that grind? I
like to ride my bike. These are practical things.
I love that.
Yeah.
No.
So I'll try to get on my bike once a week.
When you say bike, is it motorbike?
Push bike. Yeah, road bike or mountain bike. They're practical things, but you can't do that all the time, right? And I'll go to the gym.
You got to get out away from the computer probably in the office, right?
But even when I get away from that, right? Even if I'm not on the bike, what gets me through is to think back.
Wow.
Yeah, to think back to those critical moments in my life, right? Yeah. Where, because we all get caught up, we all get blinkered-eyed, right? And we all do this and go, okay, this is all the problem that I've got. This is all I'm going to think about. There is. Yeah? And that's all there is, right? But and there is a psychological thing that some therapists will teach you. Yes, if you're doing this, of course that's all you're going to think about. But if you take a step back and you breathe, right, and you actually start going, hey, there's a cactus behind you.
Yep.
There's some greenery there.
Yeah.
There's a cross there. There's a camel. There's a Pinocchio here, right? So I take a step back, right?
And just for those that are listening to the audio and have never seen the set on the video, there literally is a camel, a Pinocchio, a cross, greenery. There's all kinds of thing on the set. So jump onto YouTube and you'll see what Eduardo's talking about. But yes, so you step back. Yeah. Like a chessboard, there's never just one move. There's a gazillion moves you could make.
Absolutely.
And don't get thinking into like, I'm cornered in the corner and this is all there is.
So if I'm only thinking, oh my God, I got to get this email out. Oh, I got to deal with this. Oh, this has got to come in, you know, like, and that, I've got to deal with this particular person, right? Yeah. That will grind you down, that will. Right? What do? I step back. I try to. I don't always get it right.
No, but this is great. I'm learning.
Yeah. I step back and then I go, hey, I'm living the dream, man. I'm living the life that other people would absolutely love to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. Someone else would be looking at me going, you're a director of a law firm. You're a lawyer in Australia, right? You've got all these qualifications. You've got all these people around you. Got to complain about.
Yeah.
You know? I take that and then I look back at my whole history of El Salvador, right? And I look at all of that and I look at how we've overcome all of that. Mm-hmm. You know? And then I look at the newly arrived migrants, the newly arrived refugees. Yeah. And I go, I'm okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be all right.
I'm going to be okay, man. You know, I've come a long way.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've embraced that opportunity. I don't always. I'm not always thankful for it. You know, I'm not always appreciative of that. But it requires me to take a step back and go, I'm okay, man. You know, like we can get in our heads quite quickly. You know, and I get a lot. I get a lot of anxiety, man. I've had to battle a lot of anxiety. A lot of lawyers go through this, but I think a lot of lot of people go through
Humans,
this.
yeah,
Humans go
right
through
now,
this. It's not
yeah.
exclusive to lawyers, man. It's the self-doubt. You know, self-doubt is there. Am I good enough? What am I doing here? You know,
You're only as good as your last victory kind of thing.
That's right. You know,
Right.
like, are they going to think that I'm a fraud? You know, like,
Yeah.
what's he doing there? I'm constantly battling that. That's like nearly a weekly thing, you know, where you have that breath where you lose it, you know, and that pressure's there, and
You
just
step into that ice bath.
That's right.
And you're like, oh, gosh.
That's right, and you lose your breath a little bit.
Yeah.
I've learned to manage that,
Yeah.
and that's part of the perspective, you know, because you know being at the front of anything will get you quickly into that anxious mode. Yeah, so you've got to have the tools to be able to recalibrate.
Yeah. Eduardo Cruz.
Yeah.
Jose Eduardo Cruz Rivas. It has been, you are an inspiration.
Thanks, brother. So are you.
Your honesty, your authenticity, your passion for what you do, your law firm, Corney and Lind, it's in Brisbane, right?
Yeah.
How can people, if they want to get in touch with you, or what's the best way?
Email me.
Email you.
Look us up. You know, like yeah, man. Connie and Lynn, I love that place, man. We've got an amazing group of lawyers that we want to change the world, man. We want to do good work.
We have a mutual friend.
We do.
That just got appointed, or whose daughter just got appointed.
Yes.
As one of the directors
That's right.
there, which is beautiful. It sounds like you've got a great team, and we are so excited. Ubelong is so excited to be partnering with you guys in various ways to serve refugees and migrant background people who are waymakers. Yeah, they are. Thank you for what you do. Thanks for coming down the Gold Coast, for letting me put you through that torturous moment. I made sure you had a good couple of coffees beforehand.
Loved it.
And hearing your story, thanks for sharing it. I cannot wait to press the button of release, and that this podcast will get out there. Appreciate it.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure, man. It's been a healing process with you, man.
Yeah.
It's been a healing process. I appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Awesome, mate.
Cool, bro. Cheers.
Thanks for listening to this episode of Justice Matters. I'd also like to shout out to the Patreon community that financially supports this podcast. Guys, thank you so much for your support. And you can join them simply by going to patreon.com/Justice Matters, where a simple donation of $5 a month, you can become part of the Patreon community and get access to behind the scenes content and extras that I share just with you. And lastly, there is another really important way that you can help support the podcast, and that's simply by rating it or leaving a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, maybe by subscribing on YouTube. Yes, we are a video podcast as well. Guys, thank you so much for listening in to this episode of Justice Matters. Please come again soon. I can't wait to share more episodes with you. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Tim Buxton. Thanks for listening.